When it comes to your videos, obviously they're all going to be loosely based around your main niche. But of course, there are thousands of subtopics within your niche that you can make videos on. Now, we've already talked about how the idea sets the ceiling of what a video can achieve. A bad idea, even if you execute it really well, is still not going to perform very well. No amount of great editing can help if it's a video concept nobody wants to watch. Or as Mr. Beast put it, you could pull triple the views with half the work if you just had better ideas. So spending more time thinking of ideas and then evaluating which ideas to actually pursue is extremely important. But most creators neglect this. We want to come up with lots of ideas, but then be much more selective about which ones to actually focus on. So right now we're going to cover how you can create an endless supply of great video ideas so you never run out of content. How to find topics and never run out of ideas. I want to start by sharing with you my absolute favorite idea generation method and where most of my video ideas come from. Follow your curiosity. When choosing your niche, I mentioned why I believe in picking something you're interested in. This way you're essentially part of your own target audience, and so you naturally are going to understand what they want. The great news is that by picking a niche that you're interested in, coming up with topic ideas suddenly just means thinking to yourself, what do I want to research right now? The beauty with YouTube is you can now get paid to make videos about those things. So what do you read about when it's not work? Those can all become video ideas. Like seriously, if you could go research anything right now, what would that be? That could be a great video idea. And I'm not exaggerating. This is where a huge amount of my video ideas come from. My most viewed video with over 10 million views came because I was looking up the most valuable companies in the world. The top results were huge companies you'd expect like Apple and Microsoft, and then right up there near the top of the list was Tencent. I didn't really know anything about the company, and so I asked a few people I was with and they'd never even heard of it. So I delved a little deeper and realized they've got this app called WeChat that is an everything app, all apps rolled into one. And my immediate reaction was, I want to know more about that. And that is the magic feeling. That curiosity rabbit hole is what makes great content. Look at another documentary channel, Johnny Harris. His most popular video is why the McDonald's ice cream machines are always broken. And it started with him genuinely wondering that and researching it. But what do you know? Turns out a lot of people had wondered that as well. Following what you're interested in and curious about is so underrated, and it has so many benefits, like the fact you'll put more work into the video because you're enjoying making it, which in turn will make the video better. As a quick side note, I have done endless hours of research on productivity, and I'm convinced that the underlying secret to productivity is to do things you enjoy. You never procrastinate on things you enjoy, like going out for beers with your friends. And so the most productive people are normally just people who have managed to turn their work into something they genuinely enjoy. Alex Hormozy, who's crushing it in the business space, talks about how much he loves the game of business. Gary Vee, the guy known for hustle, clearly loves what he does. And so the more you can turn your work into something you enjoy, the more productive you'll be and the easier it is to work. I didn't mind spending time reading a book about Tencent for research because I'd have wanted to read it even if I wasn't making a video. It was interesting to me, and thus interesting to my audience. Of course, just like with deciding our niche, there are other considerations we'll talk about shortly to make sure your idea is actually worth doing. As just because something appeals to you doesn't mean you should definitely make a video on it. But in terms of generating ideas, I really do believe this is one of the most effective strategies. Exact same thing happened with another one of my most popular videos called Levels of Wealth. I was actually trying to make a video about something totally different, but I was bored. So I was procrastinating, and I somehow stumbled across a Reddit post talking about the different levels of wealth. I became way more interested in that idea, and so I completely pivoted and started writing about that topic instead, as it didn't feel like work. Or another of my most popular videos was about Louis Vuitton. Now, I know nothing about fashion, and there's a bunch of well-known fashion companies I could have chosen. So why that one? It's because I heard the fact that Louis Vuitton ran away from home as a teenager with no money. And the contrast of this poor kid creating a luxury brand just genuinely was appealing. I wanted to know how he did it. And that later became the title and hook of the video and got millions of views. Just one final YouTube example to emphasize this point even more. I saw a video with Christopher Nolan recently, the director of Oppenheimer. And he was talking about how the idea for the film all started because he heard that scientists working on the bomb couldn't completely rule out the possibility that it would set off a reaction that would end the world. And he said that concept really stuck with him a while. It intrigued him, and it's what led him to dive further into the topic and eventually make the film. You follow those natural curiosities, see if there's a story there. Now, obviously, I'm in no way comparing my process to Christopher Nolan, but the concept is the same of when something piques your interest or sticks with you, those are the ideas you want to follow. So next time something genuinely catches your attention and you find yourself wanting to research it and genuinely wanting to know more or talk more about it, you could be onto something. Consider what you're spending your time learning and talking about already, and if that's something that could be packaged into a video. And if there's not, it's highly likely your niche isn't aligned enough with your own interests. Okay, let's talk about research strategies. Sometimes you need to go looking for ideas. Here's how. Number 1, there's the research tab in analytics. YouTube will show you what your audience are already looking for. Starting with what your audience wants and then reverse engineering that into a video is a great place to start. Number 2, the other videos your audience watch tab in analytics. There are other videos your audience is already watching and interested in, so is there anything related to those topics you could do with your own spin? Number 3, using the search bar on YouTube to start typing phrases related to your niche, and then you can see what the most popular searches are, as it will auto-complete with things people have searched for. This is a great way to find things people are actively looking for, and where there's a potential gap in the market. Number 4, look up what are the most popular topics, questions, stories, mysteries, or intriguing concepts related to your niche. Number 5, look up books related to your niche. Quite a few of my videos have been based on a book. Since most creators solely use online sources, this opens up a lot of possibilities. Number 6, ask the audience. Rather than doing all the work yourself, you can literally ask your audience, what do you want to know? What do you want help with? What are you interested in? You can post this on the community tab, social media, or even ask it during a video or in the comments. Because then everything they say is a potential new idea you can create a video on. And even if you just have a very small audience right now, you can go to other channels in your niche and see what their audience is already asking for in the comments. Number 7, ask AI. Tools like ChatGPT can be very useful to generate ideas, or at least give you some prompts to point you in the right direction. You can literally ask, what are the most exciting stories in your niche? And give it the parameters you're looking for. For example, give me ideas that have a lot of drama and would appeal to a lot of people. Number 8, look at other languages. There's stuff going on international channels that would feel totally fresh bringing it to a new language. Number 9, have an inspiration folder, or as I call this, mining for gold. Basically, you have a list of great idea sources, such as specific blogs or social media accounts that regularly post interesting ideas or information related to your niche. That way, whenever you need an idea or some inspiration, you can immediately go look at those. You can also sign up to relevant email newsletters, although I recommend getting a dedicated email account for that. And the more you build up this folder over time, the more you'll have a gold mine of idea prompts. Now let's talk about the list. Ideas often come from outside YouTube, and at times where you're not even actively trying to find them. Even when watching TV or having a shower, it can prompt that eureka moment where you have a video idea. But if you don't write it down quickly, you'll forget it. So create a document on your phone, so you'll always have it with you, either as a Google Doc or just a pin note in your notes app. And then treat this as your idea list. Then you want to make sure you quickly write down those ideas as soon as they come into your head. This is really powerful because we all have ideas all the time, but we forget them or we lose track of them by having them all over the place. I had this problem at the start where I had notes of ideas everywhere, but having one central place where you list content ideas is so effective, as what then happens is you get into the habit of seeing ideas and writing them down, and that's a really powerful habit to form. Maybe you're talking with someone who asks you a good question or says something interesting, and then as soon as you're done, you jot that idea down in your idea list. And suddenly, when you next come to make a video, you've got this ever-growing list filled with potential ideas. So, commit right now to having a central list where all your ideas will go, and get into the practice of writing them down immediately so they're all in one place and none of them slip past you. The brain dump. Although some of the best ideas do come when you least expect it, which is why we have the idea list, the fastest way to get a lot of new video ideas is to book out time in your calendar for brainstorming. These days, we rarely give ourselves time to just think, and I want to introduce you to the premise of your idea muscle. Now, if you were trying to grow and strengthen any other muscle in your body, your biceps let's say, you'd regularly work them out. You'd be putting them under stress every week. Well, we need to start working our idea muscle out more as well. Because the more we work it and the stronger it gets, the better you get at coming up with ideas. And the only way we can really do this is by scheduling short little bursts of time to solely focus on coming up with ideas to add to our idea list. However, when some people try and do this, they say they get some sort of writer's block where no ideas are coming. And the solution to that is very simple. Don't worry how bad the ideas are. In fact, deliberately try and come up with some bad ideas, because the more bad ideas you come up with, the more good ones that come along as well. Every bad idea is another step towards a really good idea. And when you remember this, it removes all creative pressure you're putting on yourself. So I recommend setting yourself a goal of a minimum number of ideas you have to write down during your brainstorming session. So that way you're not trying to come up with this one perfect idea, but instead you're just letting the ideas flow freely. And then you can just cut the list down at the end so you're left with the gold. But it all begins by scheduling time to just brainstorm and mind splurge ideas like this, because that allows you to go down the rabbit hole where one idea leads to another and then another related idea, and suddenly you've written out an entire month's worth of ideas for videos. Don't underestimate the power of this. And if you're still struggling to come up with ideas, you can experiment with walking outside in the fresh air whilst you're thinking of ideas, or listening to music without lyrics, anything that can help get those creative juices flowing. Another strategy for finding topics to make videos about is to simply remake proven content. Go to all of the big channels in your niche, your competitors essentially, and sort their videos by most popular. And what you have right there is a list of videos that you know there's demand for because the view count tells you these were popular. If it's still a relevant topic, you can then remake those videos but with your own spin on it. Because you know it's a proven topic there's demand for, but now put your mark on it. Create the video in your style with your unique perspective and anecdotes or examples, with your creative editing and storytelling. So it's not that you're copying the video, you're taking inspiration from the popular proven ideas. So if you want to get 100 video ideas right now, just open up a spreadsheet, literally pick 10 channels in your niche, and go get 10 video ideas from each channel once you've sorted their videos by most popular. And then you have a spreadsheet of 100 proven ideas you can make new up-to-date videos on. There's a great quote that success leaves clues. Modeling what's worked and then simply doing it in a better or fresh way is very effective. And the good news is a lot of YouTube content actually isn't that high quality. So you can come in and use the strategies in this course to take proven ideas, but simply make them better. That's essentially what I've done with some of my videos. For example, the idea to make a video about Coca-Cola's history had been done before, but when you can redo a proven idea in a new way, you can get great results. However, some advice I would give that I don't see a lot of people talk about is that you can also repeat this process with your own channel. You should remake similar videos on the topics that did best on your channel, because those are clearly the videos your audience liked the most, so they want more on that. One of the biggest lessons I've learned on YouTube is that it's totally fine to repeat yourself. I'm not saying you should clone the video word for word, but make a video on a similar topic or in a similar style to the ones that performed best. Because a lot of your newer subscribers won't have seen those videos of yours. In fact, a lot of your older subscribers might have missed it too. Not everyone watches every video. But even for those subscribers of yours who did see the original video, well, clearly they're very interested in that topic and would be glad to hear more on it. Because you have to hear something multiple times for it to really sink in anyway, so you're doing your audience a disservice by not repeating your best ideas or delving deeper into the best stories. And maybe by now you have a slightly different perspective on that video, some new stories or examples, a new format and so on. So it's not going to be an identical video, you're just taking inspiration from your most popular videos. And this strategy is great because it reminds us we don't have to come up with a totally never done before idea. In fact, it's beneficial to use proven ideas so you know there's demand for them. We don't need to reinvent the wheel every time, the data is showing us what's working already, so it takes the pressure off. Even if you're not directly remaking the same video, you can think of adjacent ideas to popular videos too. So for example, with my Coca-Cola video I mentioned, given that did really well for my channel, it was reasonable to assume that repeating the same formula but with Pepsi could work well. And it did. So don't forget to look at what's working well and think more along those lines. Now let's talk about why you need to become a mad scientist, aka the remake strategy. The video idea should not just be thought of as what's the video about, it's also how it's executed. There are countless different formats on YouTube, like lists, so the 4 reasons why X, there's vlogs, there's interviews, reactions, documentaries and video essays, etc. And even within those different formats, there's so many different creative choices you could make that help the video feel unique. Now, there's a popular phrase, steal like an artist, which refers to the fact nothing is truly original. All creative work comes from what came before. However, just shamelessly copying something is clearly not a good way to stand out and make unique, remarkable content. What you instead want to do is pick ideas, concepts and formats from different videos and merge them together to create something that feels new and fresh. You can think of it like a mad scientist, picking out elements from totally different places and then throwing them together to concoct something new. A really basic starting prompt for this is, what if I made videos like X, but in Y niche? So what if I made videos like Exerbia, but in the productivity niche? What if I made mystery videos like Lamino, but in the politics niche? What if I made funny stick figure explanation videos like Casually Explained, but in the finance niche? What if I make dark controversy videos like Jake Tran, but in the fitness niche? You can pick video formats or styles from one niche and bring it over to your niche. And this means you can cover topics that have been done before, but still be making original content. And this is just the very beginning of this strategy. You can think of your content as just assembling different elements you like from different places, and then bringing them together. So let's say you like the thumbnail style from this channel, you like the editing style from this channel, you like the storytelling style from this channel, you like the humor from this channel, you like the branding from this channel. When you combine things together from different niches or channels, you actually create something that feels fresh for your niche. It's a mix of things that have been done before, but you're bringing them together in a new way. This principle is sometimes referred to as the remix strategy. Just like a DJ, you're merging things together to create something new. So, break out of your YouTube bubble. Go watch some of the channels I mentioned in the niche training. Go find new channels. There are so many different niches on YouTube and so many channels getting millions of views that you've never heard of. The more different types of content you can expose yourself to, the more inspiration it'll give you of what's possible. Try to find those different categories and see what ideas or elements from their videos you could bring into your content. So many people just look at their niche and then just try to make videos in the exact same way. But you want to branch outside your niche, and even outside of YouTube. Like, you can get so much inspiration from movies and TV shows. One of my biggest inspirations for my style of content came from Netflix documentaries. I realized that they could tell true stories, but in a more cinematic way. And so I started analyzing how they were actually doing that and bringing that over to the business niche on YouTube. So don't just copy, but it's true that great artists build upon each other's work. Even Quentin Tarantino, whose films feel so unique, openly admits he steals elements from other movies. The reason this concept is important is because this is how you can cover topics that have already been covered before, but still succeed. A lot of the popular videos on my channel are not brand new ideas that had never been done before. For example, the history of Coca-Cola had definitely been done before. But there's always a way to do it differently by using this mad scientist concept. Like telling the story in a totally different way, using completely different visuals and animations, a different format or aesthetic, focusing on different aspects of the story, like going more in depth or making it more serious or more humorous. Maybe you want different pacing and editing. The lighting and shot setup could be different, or you could utilize hand-drawn diagrams or whiteboards. You could speak differently, use different B-roll styles and music. There are so many variables, and so there is always room for people to cover the same topic as long as people bring their own spin on it. And this is what people get wrong about modeling success. For so many new creators, they start out purely imitating one video or channel, but the goal should be to combine elements from multiple places to form your own unique style. There are no rules, so get weird with it. Don't try and replicate Magnate's Media videos exactly, because you're not going to out Magnate's Media, just like you're not going to out Mr. Beast. Audiences will watch the bigger channel, and it's not going to be as fun for you anyway. Audiences want something fresh. So, for example, I'm making business stories which are pretty fast-paced, quite dramatic, they have specific visual preferences I like. Each video tends to reflect the branding of the company I'm covering, but someone could make a video on the same topic, but execute the idea in a completely different way, by picking out elements they like from different sources, so the presentation ends up very different. You know you're doing something right when people are trying to clone your videos rather than you being the clone of someone else. And again, I want to stress, you're not really inventing something totally new. You're just picking out elements you like from different places and mixing them together in a way that feels new. Be the mad scientist. With all of these different strategies, you'll be able to come up with an endless amount of ideas. However, the hard part is choosing the right ones. How to know if an idea is a good idea. When you're going the high quality route, you're going to make less videos overall, so it's even more important to consider an idea's potential before rushing in to make it. The brutal honest truth, you can never know with 100% certainty how well an idea will do. I can guarantee you every creator has some videos that do better than they expect and some that do worse. We just have to make the most informed decisions we can. However, over time, your natural instincts of what will work and your overall hit ratio definitely improves. And I'm going to share with you the main criteria to consider. Firstly, total addressable market, sometimes abbreviated to TAM. If you want a video that gets a large number of views, then it has to be a video concept that appeals to a large number of people. And as obvious as that sounds, people don't do that. People will spend countless hours making a video without even considering how many people are interested enough in the concept. So the total addressable market is the max amount of people who could realistically watch this video. Remember, we're only going to get a small percent of this, so if we're starting with a small maximum number, our video is never going to go viral. YouTube's algorithm is trying to pull videos it thinks viewers want to watch based on their interests. If your video covers something too niche that's specific to a very narrow group, then no matter how good the video is, it's only going to be shown to a limited pool of people. The more niche approach can work if you're monetizing with your own product or service, as you can become the king of your tiny corner of YouTube and get super targeted leads by making content that's very tailored to them. But assuming the goal is to maximize views, then we want to consider how we can frame the video to appeal to a broader audience. Packaging your ideas. Because even if the topic you're talking about is quite niche, the packaging, meaning the title, thumbnail, and the way it's presented, can still be broad so it appeals to more people. For example, if you wanted to talk about how to hire salespeople, you could make the title and frame the video how to 10x your business growth. That's way more appealing to a wide range of people, because the amount of people who right now are trying to know how to hire salespeople is a lot lower than the amount of people wanting to grow their business. Basically, every business owner wants that. So you can think of the title and thumbnail as a way of getting as many people interested as possible, and then you can segue that into what you're wanting to talk about. Another example, how to find a 3-bed apartment in New York versus how to make money from real estate. They can be the exact same video, but the way it's packaged in that first option is really narrowly focused with a much smaller total addressable market. Whereas the second option expands the total addressable market massively, and it makes the video idea appeal to so many more people. So it's always worth considering how you can make the idea appeal to a wider audience by the way you frame the video and the title and thumbnail you use. This is why most of the top creators think about the title and thumbnail before making the video. You need to ask yourself, can this idea be expressed in a highly clickable way? You don't want to put all that work into a video, then realize that you don't know how to package it for a mass audience. To give you some real life examples from my channel, a lot of my most popular videos are really not viral ideas when you distill them down to their core, as they're just stories about companies or entrepreneurs. But it's the packaging and framing that turns it into a viral idea. So for example, the story of Tencent isn't something millions of people would probably click on, but framing it as this secretive company you don't know about who owns loads of companies, that's something over 10 million people did click and watch. Another factor to know whether you have a good idea is remarkability. Back when almost nobody knew who MrBeast was, which of these videos do you think got more views? Him just recording himself playing Call of Duty, or him counting to 100,000? MrBeast made both of these videos with a budget of $0, and both had low production value. But it should be pretty obvious it was the counting to 100,000 video that did significantly better and ended up going viral. Why? When you see yet another COD gameplay video done the exact same style as the millions of other COD videos on the platform, offering nothing unique, why the hell would anyone share that or talk about it? Whereas a guy counting to 100,000 is something people had never seen before. It passes the remarkability purple cow test we talked about earlier. It was an idea worthy of remarks, something you'd actually take notice of and mention as it's unique and stands out. But again, you instinctively knew which was going to get more views before I told you. You just need to start picking topics to make that actually sound like viral ideas. It's so easy to fall into the trap of churning out content and just making videos without first asking if loads of random strangers would actually find the idea intriguing or interesting enough. And again, I do want to stress when we talk about ideas, it's not just the concept itself, but you can also achieve remarkability through the execution. So to give you an example of this, the topic of how to make money has been covered endless times before. And yet James Janney, a guy in his 20s with no prior reputation related to making money, got over 10 million views on his video about making money, which is way more than all the rich business gurus. Why? Well, the way he packaged it was remarkable. Rather than doing what everyone else was doing and just talking to a camera about money, he told a story everyone could relate to, used cinematic graphics to illustrate it. It was structured like a mystery, as he called it the untold truth about money. There are lots of ways it was completely different to what anyone else had done on the topic, and as a result, even though the topic itself wasn't remarkable, the way the idea was delivered and packaged definitely was. Interesting side note, James based the video contents on a book by the author MJ DeMarco, and yet MJ DeMarco got significantly less views when talking about the exact same concepts, even though he literally wrote the book, as it was simply not packaged in as much of a remarkable way. So that just shows how powerful this is. Another factor to consider to evaluate how good your idea is supply and demand. In a market, the law of supply and demand predicts that if the supply of goods or services exceeds demand, prices will fall. If demand exceeds supply, prices will rise. So basically, if there's too many people selling the same thing and not enough people actually want to buy that thing, prices go down. Well, YouTube is a marketplace of attention. We're all competing for it. So instead of prices, we can think about how supply and demand affects video performance. If the supply of a video idea exceeds demand, views will fall. Meaning if everyone is making the exact same type of video on the same topic in the same way, they're going to get less views as there's just not enough demand from the audience. Whereas if audience demand exceeds supply, views will rise. Meaning lots of people want to watch this type of thing, but there aren't that many videos like it. Now, of course, some topics and video styles have extremely high demand, so there's room for lots of people to make similar videos. But it's always worth considering how much total demand there is, and also how much supply there already is. Meaning, how many people are making these videos already? You can use a tool called Google Trends to get a rough estimate of demand, and potentially find some good ideas. And likewise, you can search on YouTube to find out how much supply there already is on your video idea. Because what we'd ideally love to find is a gap in the market. Something where there's a high demand from the audience, but currently low supply. Whenever you're seeing video ideas or styles getting loads of views, but not many channels doing it, that could be a great opportunity. Or an even more extreme example, if you uncovered some crazy new story nobody had ever covered on YouTube before, and you could package it well, there'd be extremely high demand for that, and literally no other supply, so of course the video would likely do well. Whereas if everyone is doing X and the supply exceeds demand, suddenly Y starts looking very attractive to audiences. For example, if everyone is trying to do Mr. Beast style videos, even though they're impressive, eventually the supply, the amount of people doing it, outweighs the demand, the amount of people watching, and so you'd need to do something different to get noticed. Again though, I do want to stress, just because a video idea has already been done a lot, you can still capture the demand if you bring something new and fresh. And the good news is that making higher quality videos than what's already out there, which is what this course ultimately teaches, is always a way to stand out. There's always a way to do things better. In fact, high quality documentary style videos is something that's always in really high demand, but because it's harder to make, supply is low. That's why it's such a huge opportunity. Okay, let's talk about some final considerations for your idea. Number 1, can the idea for this video be easily encapsulated and understood? If people don't even get what the video is from the title, thumbnail, and intro, it's very hard to get them to keep watching. Don't overcomplicate ideas too much. Simplicity often wins. Number 2, does the idea resonate on an emotional level? A lot of viral content triggers some kind of emotional response in people. Excitement, anger, fear, laughter. We ideally want video ideas that are going to make people feel something. Number 3, does the idea challenge or defy expectations? Number 4, don't chase viral videos outside your niche if that's not the content you want to make. You'll end up attracting viewers who aren't interested in your other content and fragment your audience. This makes things much harder as they're not going to be interested in your normal uploads. So when YouTube recommends your videos to them, they're not going to click and watch. On the flip side, if you have one video blow up and all your other videos also appeal to that same audience, that's how an entire channel can blow up as people then go and binge watch your other content. Number 5, remember, coming up with ideas doesn't mean we need to reinvent the wheel and always find some topic that's never been done before. You can model what's working and simply do it better or bring something new and fresh. A really simple strategy here would be to take something that's working and simply make a higher quality version using the strategies in this course, and potentially a longer version that's going to get more watch time. Okay, now let's talk about organizing ideas. By now, you can see how you'll easily be able to come up with endless ideas using these strategies. And I mentioned earlier about having an idea list on your phone so that wherever you are, you can always capture ideas easily. But a document on your phone isn't really the best way to organize things. As you get more ideas, it'll just get messy. So you want to schedule a little time each week to move ideas from your idea list to a more organized system, as you want to be able to track what stage each idea is at. Like which ones are just rough ideas which you might not even do, which are ideas you've looked into more and want to actually go ahead with, and which ideas you've thought of a good title and thumbnail for, so you've actually fleshed them out and validated the idea. And then which ideas are actually being worked on as videos. There's something called a Kanban board, which can help you easily visualize which stage video ideas are at. Some people use a Trello board for this. I personally use Notion. Now, you could say, why not just put the ideas neatly into Notion immediately as soon as you think of them? But in my experience, we want idea capture to be as frictionless as possible, or else we won't do it. And that's why the basic notes app on your phone is usually the best, as it's the quickest and easiest. But of course, you can do whatever works for you. The important thing is you start utilizing these systems for generating, capturing, and validating your ideas. When you do that, you'll have an endless supply of epic video ideas.